It's another soothing Sunday morning, and I had some inspiration from both younger women that I'm encountering and working with, as well as older women. And I'd like to talk about mentoring as we enjoy a hot beverage this morning. I have finished my workout already and put together, no, this isn't coffee. I've already had my limit of 2 cups of coffee. Caffeine is something that I need to monitor and at times even take a break from because of the chronic conditions I am managing. By the way, thanks for watching. My name is Tiffany. I am the founder of Anderson Therapeutics, and this is my Aging Well channel. The bevy I have here is something that I was led to when I went on a fairly strict caffeine-free approach. And it is called, I'm not being sponsored, it's called Ticino. And this is the hazelnut blend. A little goes a very long way. And one of the ingredients in this is something that I was very familiar with. It is chicory. And chicory coffee is something that my grandparents used to enjoy and would have at times when they didn't want to have the caffeine jitters. It brews like coffee. It gives the similar sense of the ritual of coffee. I won't say that it takes the place of the bitter, dark roast that I enjoy. This is a medium roast. And also because of the chicory aspect of it, it tastes fairly sweet all on its own. So I always taste it first because I know exactly, oh, excuse my elbow. I know exactly how to sweeten my coffee. Do you put all sorts of goodies in your hot beverage of choice, whether it's tea, coffee, or otherwise? I bet if you do, you have your own specific routine. You know exactly how to prepare it, and if someone else makes your beverage for you, unless they're really, really meticulous and know your habits, they might not be fixing it the way you like it. That being said, here we go. Let's have a little sip. Oh, the hints of the hazelnut is really lovely. The draw for me when I first tried this was that because I like a really dark roast, I was sad when I first tasted it, though I have grown to love it. It's actually similar to a tea. And so I have put in, you might see the little foamy, it's not foamy, it's just, I use powdered stevia. I have tried so many different types of sweeteners over the years, and I have found that stevia works really well with my body. My doctor and I monitor my lab work carefully every 6 months, bare minimum, and it has never messed with my blood sugar. It digests really well. What works for you? What type of sweetener? Or are you not a sweetener type person? I also like a little bit of a whitener, a creamer. This is a soy-based creamer that, because in the past, before I adopted a plant-based diet, I admit I liked half and half in my coffee. I liked that really creamy richness. And this original style of the Silk brand, again, not being sponsored. I guess I have to say that on YouTube. I am new to YouTube. It has a similar texture, taste, and feel to half and half, and I have even been able to mimic some of the creams and sauces that I used to use half and half for. that is tasty, delicioso. That wasn't the main reason I wanted to chat with you today. The topic that has come to mind, and walk with me, going to take you into one of my favorite rooms of my home. Can you hear my spooky jazz music in the background? I found another creator video on YouTube. Perhaps you've found these as well that have cartoony images on them, or even landscape scenes that have a variety of different music melodies with no ads, or minimal ads at least. I found one that was like a fall harvesty type of one, so it's been a nice one to have in the background this morning as I'm getting chores done, getting work done, getting ready for my day. Let me bring you this way. Let me bring you over this way. Let's see if I've set that up correctly. Oh my goodness, I'm getting better and better at this. Cheers. What I have been speaking to a number of women about, and perhaps you have this topic either at the top of your mind, you've questioned this, is having a mentor. And as a woman, having a mentor who is older than yourself. Do you have a mentor currently? Have you had a mentor in the past? Would a mentor be useful in your life right now for any number of topics, whether that is personal, emotional, for your career, or perhaps for your health? As someone who has sought and maintained having a mentor in many aspects of my life, I share from my own experience that having a mentor, especially a woman who is often significantly older than myself, has been invaluable. And this is something that it started early in life, because the most important mentor that I have ever had in my life, and who, even though it's been a long time since she passed away, that woman is my maternal grandmother. Do you have those memories in your life of someone who perhaps has been long gone? Though certainly those memories, those nostalgic moments, those treasured comments, guidance, support is still in your heart, in your mind, in your dreams perhaps. Even in cards, letters, and now electronic. I come from a time where I am a child of the mid-1960s. I turned 60 this year and have a life of experiences that was long before the internet and having a wealth of technology. And keeping cards, letters, notes, those type of things are treasures that I have to this day, and I look back upon fondly. I miss the art of writing, and joined a couple of groups in the last few years, especially after the pandemic when many things changed, of having people to send Christmas cards to. I love the act of writing. I am a writer, and I love my computer and laptop and even a voice recorder, and use all of the gadgets that I align with, though I have plenty of journals, and using good old, pencil paper, that works for me. The mentors that I have sought out as an adult, outside of people who were near and dear to me, have also been women who guided me in my career, and women that I sought out as healthcare providers, as well as mental health providers as well. And oftentimes the conversations would shift out of their primary role. For example, the naturopath, the female doctor that I worked with for decades, honestly, there were often times when our conversations, and perhaps it was because of being women and we had similarities in our lives and in our paths and in our goals, that we began to have more candid conversations, deeper conversations than other relationships where there are certainly those connections where it's more of a surface level and not necessarily feeling that there's the appropriateness, the alignment, the resonance to dive a little bit deeper and open up. Trust for me is something that needs to be earned. And that's a two-way street. When I have mentored women, my active listening skills and that leaning in and hearing someone and seeing them is priority. That is a skill that I learned as an alternative healthcare provider, and knowing that body language and the cues that another person is giving you with their entire being is much more telling, offers a deeper conversation, and when you tune in to that as someone who is wanting to engage in my line as an alternative healthcare provider, there was a service, a healthcare practice that was in the midst of being negotiated, that having that moment to connect and for me to be able to assess the individual and understand from them, how could I best serve that appointment, serve that client, whether it was dealing with managing a chronic health condition, or perhaps it was something a bit lighter, deeper, I mean in a heavier sense, in that perhaps I needed to pull in another healthcare provider with different credentials than myself. I partnered with social workers, and certainly within the medical community, when I worked in a hospital setting, there was a whole team of providers who had the specialties in areas to best fit the needs of that patient. For example, when I worked at a cancer research institute as a Reiki practitioner, I knew exactly what I was qualified to do and was drawn into the patient's protocol first by the patient as a way to better manage pain. And if they were at the stage of hospice, perhaps I was there as a witness and as someone to share space with them as they were moving forward along their journey. I also was engaged by the healthcare providers and the family, knowing that there was a lot of information that I wasn't privy to, and some that I certainly needed to know as someone who was going to be actively working with a patient in a hospital setting. There's a broad example. That's what I mean when I say a deeper approach on an aspect of, going back to my grandmother and the wisdom, the guidance, the love, and the guidance that she presented to me, shared with me. There's certainly been times when I have needed guidance in different areas, and sometimes didn't have the finances to afford mental health. There are many discounted and often free mental health services now that it wasn't that long ago that accessing that level of health care, especially in the US where I am, was not available, and certainly not readily available. And there were a number of steps and loops and all sorts of steps to access that weren't available to me, and didn't feel right. There were times where the basic approach of going to the library, and again, this is a time where it was the Dewey Decimal System, and going in and looking through the little cards or talking to the librarian, which I still do. Talking to a librarian is a incredible resource, and there are times when a mentor is perhaps just that person that you're speaking to at that moment. And I'm speaking about women, though this certainly isn't gender specific. I mention this because as a woman who has specialized in helping mature adults better manage chronic conditions, my expertise has been in studying women. I did this initially back in the 90s because I knew that I had caretaking duties at that time, and I was still a young mother at that time. I wanted to best understand those I was caring for, and also know how to better take care of myself. And that knowledge came in really handy as time passed by, and then I found myself not only as a parent, a caretaker, and working in the field of health, but when I acquired my own chronic health conditions, that I have been able to better care for myself, which is also why I'm here. I have worked in this field since 1996. I have a number of credentials behind my name. That's not where I was going with this. Back to my point of branching out and going to a very accessible and free resource such as a library. There have been those times when I'm going within and I'm looking for something, and if I'm not finding it within myself, within those quiet moments of meditation, or perhaps for you it's prayer, time in nature, wherever you're finding that inspiration and support, I have found it. I I have been a lifelong learner. I love to read. I grew up in a household that was full of books, and I was surrounded by adults who read books often. And that was a behavior that was role modeled to me. I am very grateful for that. This book here is called The New Feminine Brain. It is written by Mona Lisa Schultz, MD, PhD. I was at a conference at least 2 decades ago. I tried to find the date before recording this video, and I couldn't find it. It doesn't really matter. I was just curious. And she was one of the key speakers, and I had the privilege of sitting very near the front, which I often do. That probably goes back to my nerd days of being the good student. I love to learn. Just love to learn. That this book has been a bit of a guide. Do you have books like that in your life? Or perhaps it's even a song, a quote, a piece of music without lyrics that you go to for inspiration, or when it is brought to the surface, whether it's that song you hear on the radio again, or a favorite quote that maybe you have hung up on your refrigerator, or I hang up favorite quotes on my bathroom mirror. I like to change those out seasonally. Oftentimes when I'm setting my annual goals, I put those up in order to say them out loud, read them to myself. And that is another source of mentorship. Working with younger women currently in the field of public health, I have been fascinated with the younger mothers that I am partnering with, because I'm hearing very unique approaches thanks to technology, which has been a learning experience for me. And also, I received encouragement from them since I was questioning my own ability to best serve the clients that I was hired to engage with. I had a bit of self-inflicted ageism is what happened. And I feel that this happened in a heavier and more deeply personal, painful way, only because the current job I'm in was a bit of an accident due to the pandemic, and that I lost my job. I damn near lost my business, felt like my career was being diminished, and I was floundering and lost and afraid. I have a background in health education, and that led me to getting a job as a contact tracer in 2020. And after the funding for that job was drying up, then because I work for a local county health department, they had a policy in place, which I am incredibly grateful for, that would give me a bit of a cushion. They certainly weren't going to, be a pillow I could just relax back on, like, ooh, woohoo, I'm never going to leave here. They gave a source of support for a period of time, that they would do their best to help me transition into a more permanent position. And I say permanent loosely because the position that I wound up in is a federally funded grant that is what they call time limited. And I've worked for other nonprofits. I've worked for federal, state, county governments before, so I understand and understood at the time that I was moving into a position that basically could be erased at any time. That is the basics of working for that type of working within those types of fields. And it never felt disheartening when I was a younger woman. It felt more frightening only because of the deep loss and grief that I was experiencing due to having my entire life I was reinventing myself. I was certainly, I don't, this isn't a woe was me. There were people that have lost much more. I am very grateful for everything that I have. I was also in a period of grief and wanted to honor that. The younger women that I'm working with now are because the job that I transitioned into from contact tracing, and is the job that I'm working in now, is with a department under clinical services called the Office of Home Visiting. And I had never heard of this before. And I've been an empty nester for a long time. That gives me the the grace, I guess, of ignorance of why I had never heard of such a position. Home visiting is a worldwide phenomenon, and something that the program I work with is offering a curriculum called Parents as Teachers to families who have children under the age of 5. And the main focus of this program is that we are in the homes of these families who fall under certain guidelines. There's income restrictions, certainly stressors is what we're looking for in order to participate, because it is federally funded and we are tracking certain markers and looking at developmental milestones, family well-being, and ensuring that the little ones and the family as a whole is thriving as best as they can, and that the child is as developmentally sound as they can be in preparation for kindergarten. That is my job. That is the basics of this program. And as such, I have become a mentor to many families. And there are many single parents. I have worked with adoptive parents. I have worked with multi-generational families. I have worked with widows, single fathers, as well as single moms, as well as married couples or couples that are partnered and raising their children in their own way. And I feel that it is an honor to be welcomed into their home, and that the beauty of this program and why I have felt confident enough to stay, even though as a health educator, I was honestly confused for the first 2 years of the program that I was under contract, because the training and certification to actually deliver this curriculum is fairly robust and labor intensive. And I wondered why in the world a health educator was hired and the job was listed as health education when it's well beyond what I have been trained for and have the expertise in. Other people that I work with, both women and men, though most home visitors are women, have backgrounds in teaching, in childhood development. I have worked with nurses, with social workers, and other credentialed professionals, as well as health educators such as myself. And I have realized that my knowledge of child development was very limited in the beginning, especially for the often uncomfortable and very, very tragic situations that I encounter in the field as someone who is, on my own most of the day and going to people's homes. The saving grace of this program has been that because the Parents as Teachers curriculum that we deliver and that we are qualified and somewhat limited by, which I like limitations, that means boundaries. The curriculum states and is designed in that we know that parents are the most important teachers that a child will ever have. And that by engaging kids with play, that is how we learn. And that is how, as adults, and now that I am an older adult, I also learn much better and much more readily when I feel that I am at play. How about you? Because I have been an empty nester for quite some time, I need to have a little sip of my coffee now. I'm getting parched. It's cooling down. Or tea, Ticino. I just got done telling you this was not coffee. Oh, thank you. Excuse me. Been an empty nester for a while now. My grown son, I have one wonderful child. Man, how many of you moms, even dads out there, have a grown, independent, successful, and this is always going to be my baby. My son humors me, pat me on the head. He's a big guy. Very lucky. I feel so lucky to have I can honestly say my son is one of the most brilliant, kind, compassionate, caring individuals that I have ever had the privilege to share space with. And parents often do that when we brag about our offspring. Oh, now I just had a nostalgic moment and starting to tear myself up. And back to working with these young parents. The inspiration that I am encountering, even when I am sharing space with someone who is in a time of need. That certainly has been the case back in my clinical career when I was working with teaching falls prevention at a senior center or sharing space with someone in a hospital as they were nearing the end of their life. I've always felt that I have had times of honor and a privilege to share a quiet moment with someone. And perhaps it's just the time when someone wants to be seen and heard. That to me defines what a mentor is and who a mentor is. That if someone asks for my advice, or if I am working with my own mentor and I am asking for their advice,